The many activities of the Detroit Department of Health are directed from the City-County building. Here in well-equipped offices and modern laboratories, plans are formulated to promote better health in our town, to prevent the spread of illness and disease. Members of the Department of Health work unceasingly for the good of every Detroiter. Their work takes them into many areas, such as the handling, preparation, and sale of food. Food handlers, those men and women who work in restaurants, are given careful instruction by experienced public health personnel in how to serve their patrons with cleanliness and health, as well as food and drink. Waitresses, cooks, and kitchen helpers learn such things as how to wash, store, and handle cooking and eating utensils to avoid spreading disease-producing germs. With the help of visual aids like film strips and motion pictures, instructors impart a wealth of knowledge to their classes, teaching simple rules that make Detroit's thousands of restaurants safer places to eat. An annual X-ray is required of Detroit food handlers to detect the possible presence of tuberculosis and other abnormal conditions. In conjunction with the X-ray, food handlers also undergo a physical examination once a year by their own private physicians. These precautions assure folks who eat in public places that the strictest rules of cleanliness and sanitation are being observed in a conscientious effort to promote better health in our town. Fully staffed with experienced public health personnel, the Bruce H. Douglas Health Center represents a well-planned program of good health for the entire community. Named for former Health Commissioner Dr. Bruce Douglas, the center works with the private physician to make his office an individual health center. This cooperation between the Department of Health and the city's private physicians is known throughout the country as the Detroit Plan, and many other communities have adopted its unique structure. Regular physical checkups for people of all ages is the basis for the Detroit Plan. Periodic medical examinations can prevent the spread of disease by discovering it in its early stages. The Detroit Department of Health also conducts an extensive educational program designed to teach the people of our town how to avoid conditions and habits that lead to ill health. Complete records of health history aid physicians in evaluating the health patterns of those persons examined. One of the strongest points of the Detroit Plan is its concentration on the young people of our town. Parents are encouraged to submit their children to regular physical examinations from the day of birth, for a healthy childhood can build a strong foundation for physical fitness in later life. And since our young people hold the key to Detroit's future, it's important that they approach adulthood as healthy as medical science can make them. Activities of the Detroit Department of Health extend into the home, too. Many families welcome experienced public health nurses, women whose lives are dedicated to the continued physical well-being of every Detroiter. Public health nurses are trained to instruct parents in the proper care of infants. The simple practice of washing the hands thoroughly before handling the child can be an important factor in good health. Young mothers are shown how to build confidence in their children by relieving them of fear. In her normal everyday duties, the mother can relax the child's tensions with gentle handling by establishing strong bonds of friendship, by letting the child discover for herself that the strange implements her mother uses are harmless. Once the child's confidence is won, the job is easy. The nurse imparts her knowledge of proper care to the mother. She demonstrates many simple ways to observe the child's growth. Through her work, Detroit mothers are helped in their part of a far-reaching program to promote better health among our young people. The Central Supply Service of our Department of Health prepares materials and equipment used in the treatment and prevention of illness. Our town's extensive program of immunization against diphtheria, whooping cough, tetanus, and poliomyelitis is helped considerably by Central Supply's vital job of cleaning, sterilizing, and wrapping needles and syringes. Using the most modern equipment available, Central Supply personnel see to it that the supplies needed for mass inoculation are clean and ready for use at all times. Central Supply also prepares supplies for hospitals operated by the department. The sterilization demanded by modern medicine makes the job of Central Supply one of the most important in the department. Utmost care must be taken to make sure that each implement, each piece of equipment serviced, meets the strictest standards of sanitation. Personnel are well trained, and many of them have had years of experience with the department. They do their work conscientiously, recognizing the extreme responsibility they owe to the public. Each step follows an approved procedure, planned to promote a high degree of safety in the treatment and prevention of disease and illness. Clean instruments placed on a tray are covered with spotless towels. The entire tray is then wrapped in towels, and tape is applied to secure the wrappings. Every possible measure is taken to guard the instruments from exposure to germs and foreign matter. The fully protected trays of instruments are placed in a sterilizer called an autoclave, where they're scientifically sterilized by steam under pressure. The doors of the autoclave are tightly sealed, and the attending nurse carefully watches a complex set of dials that tell her if the pressures and temperatures within the autoclave are sufficient to do their job properly. The chemical laboratory exercises constant vigilance over Detroit's food supply. Food manufacturing and processing plants in our town, the thousands of food stores in every neighborhood, come under constant scrutiny in an effort to make sure the foods we eat are absolutely safe. Some of the examinations are routine, while others are made at the request of the consumer, and sometimes at the request of the food manufacturer or merchant. In any case, the examinations are thorough and include such features as a weight test to measure the percentage of the various ingredients in the food. Delicately balanced scales perform this test. The results determine if the manufacturer is following an approved formula in the preparation of his product. Processed meats undergo a chemical analysis to make sure no substitute ingredients are being used. This test is especially valuable in determining if the meat's protein content follows the standards set by local and federal laws. The contents of soft drinks are also tested to make sure they conform to specifications. The drinks are mixed with various chemical elements to measure the content of such ingredients as sugar. Technicians have had long years of schooling and preparation for their work. As new food products are introduced to the public, the technicians keep pace, so they'll be able to analyze them properly for the good of all Detroiters. All kinds of food are inspected in the chemical laboratory, including the many different varieties and brands of canned and frozen foods. In addition to its work with foods, the laboratory also serves as a clinical lab for Herman Kiefer Hospital, and sponsors courses in medical technology and in pathologic anatomy for Detroit physicians. Important to people of all ages for good health, milk receives constant attention from personnel of the department's chemical laboratory. Constant examinations are conducted to ensure the healthfulness and purity of all milk processed in the Detroit area. The fine record of Detroit dairies in offering their customers quality milk is a direct result of the advanced inspection methods of the Department of Health and the wholehearted cooperation of the dairies themselves in conforming to rules set down by the department. The prescribed butterfat content of all milk is checked regularly by the laboratory. Samples from all dairies under the department's jurisdiction are precisely mixed with chemical elements to determine the butterfat content. All milk sold in Detroit has passed Detroit Department of Health tests, so we can feel absolutely safe in serving it to our families. Another crucial test analyzes the result of pasteurization of the milk to make sure that any harmful bacteria have been thoroughly destroyed. The technician performs each step with great care in preparing the milk sample for the test. Modern equipment helps her to do the job with extreme accuracy. To make sure that milk is absolutely pure and safe to drink, laboratory conditions are produced that are similar to those in the human bloodstream. This is done by adding certain chemicals to the milk, after which the mixture is placed on a glass disc called a Petri dish. The dish is then placed inside an incubator under carefully controlled heat. Though this heat would revive any harmful bacteria that might be present in the milk, the results of this test are always negative, proving the pasteurized milk absolutely pure. Strict government standards have made the dairies of Detroit among the cleanest, most responsible in the nation, a positive indication that the people, equipment, and modern methods of the Detroit Department of Health are doing a remarkable job of protecting our health. The countryside surrounding Detroit is dotted with dairy farms, well-kept, spotless dairy farms that tend their herds, that handle their milk under the watchful guidance of alert inspectors from the Detroit Department of Health. Over 1,700 of these dairy farms furnish the daily milk requirements of Twin Pines Farm Dairy. Gleaming tank trucks pick up hundreds of gallons of milk from each farm to haul it away in stainless steel refrigerated trucks. Present-day counterparts of the old-fashioned milk can, these tank trucks equipped with self-contained filling lines are typical of the dairy industry's complete modernization. Inside a modern dairy barn, refrigerated holding tanks receive fresh milk directly from the cow and keep it cold in stainless steel tanks at specifically required low temperatures. The Twin Pines driver draws a sample from the tank, first of many inspections of the milk, to make sure the milk is fresh and pure before it's put aboard his truck. Since milk is an extremely perishable product, all dairy farm equipment and buildings undergo regular inspections by both Department of Health and Twin Pines inspectors. The milk is allowed to enter the tank truck only after the farm has passed official inspections, and the truck operator is satisfied that the milk itself meets the highest standards of freshness and purity. The tank truck delivers its milk to one of the two huge modern plants of the Twin Pines Farm Dairy, an organization that has the unique distinction of being the only dairy in Detroit that is entirely employee-owned and employee-operated. The refrigerated tank trucks are unloaded in much the same way as they're filled, except that a line is brought out to the truck from the plant instead of using the truck's own self-contained line. Once the connection is made, the milk surges through the line. Hundreds of quarts of Detroit's favorite food on its way to be processed into Detroit's safest, most healthful food. Twin Pines Modern Inspection Laboratory receives a sample of each load of milk delivered to the plant. Working with the very latest scientific equipment, qualified technicians analyze the sample to make sure it meets Twin Pines' high standards of purity, freshness, and quality. The milk in every delivery must be proved acceptable before it is sent on for processing. This is only the beginning of a process marked by constant inspection and supervision. Strict control from beginning to end of production results in milk that has farm-fresh flavor, plus the health protection of scientific safeguards of purity. When the sample has been thoroughly tested and approved, the milk is piped to giant stainless steel refrigerated holding tanks. The initial step in the processing of milk is performed when the milk is run through this machine, which clarifies it by centrifugal force. In these units, stainless steel discs, revolving 5,000 times a minute, do the job of clarification. Next stop, the homogenizer, where tremendous pressure breaks up butter fat, distributing it evenly through the milk for better flavor and easier digestibility. Processing continues at the pasteurizer, where Twin Pines assures the purity of its milk, using the modern short-hold method of pasteurization. Milk enters the unit at a cool temperature of 40 degrees, is heated to a very warm 162 degrees, held there for exactly 16 seconds, and instantly cooled again to 40-degree temperature. The pasteurizing unit operates under strict supervision. Alert workers constantly check electronic temperature controls. A Detroit Department of Health representative seals the thermostatic controls of Twin Pines pasteurizers, thus assuring correct temperatures at all times. Short-hold pasteurization, the most modern method of doing this important job, preserves the natural flavor of milk while safeguarding health. So speedy is the process that milk is out of the holding tank, through the pasteurizer, and into the bottle, all in 1 minute. Now the milk is ready to be bottled. But meanwhile, the bottles are being washed and sterilized, automatically loaded into the giant machine. They emerge sparkling clean and completely sterile. The watchful eye of the inspector makes sure the hot caustic solutions, the brushes, and the rinsing operations inside the machine have done their job with absolute thoroughness. From the washing machine, the bottles march along in single file, ready to be filled. Milk flowing through stainless steel pipes and bottles moving along conveyor lines meet at this amazing, almost human machine. The bottles circle the filling mechanism, where they are vacuum filled with exactly the right amount of milk. Then into the automatic capper, which applies the inner plug cap, sealing in all the health, purity, and goodness of the milk. A second capping mechanism sterilizes the lip of the bottle with 400-degree heat as it applies a plastic-coated hood cap. When a bottle of Twin Pines milk reaches our dinner table, we're assured of utmost cleanliness, for the sterilized, protected pouring lip guides the milk safely into the glass in our home. Filled bottles move on to be put in cases. They're automatically formed into a column of threes. As they march into the casing machine, they're picked up 12 at a time and lowered into freshly scrubbed wooden cases. From the time they entered the washing machine, through the filling, capping, and casing, bottles have been handled automatically. Not one hand has touched them during the entire operation. On their way to storage, the cases converge from 2 automatic casing machines. They'll remain in the refrigerated storage room until the delivery trucks are ready to leave. A safe temperature of 40 degrees keeps the milk fresh and pure during this short waiting period. The entire processing and bottling operation is a triumph of modern production methods. Carefully controlled by electronic equipment and the alert eyes of skilled operators, it assures the highest quality and utmost purity in Twin Pines milk. Detroiters who buy their milk from neighborhood grocers enjoy the convenience of the Twin Pines plastic-coated carton. 2 remarkable machines sterilize the cartons under 500-degree heat as they're shaped, filled, and sealed in one automatic operation. These unique plastic-coated cartons, incidentally, eliminate wax deposits on refrigerator shelves and wax flakes in the milk. And too, the special twin pack, composed of 2 quart cartons bonded together and with a carrying handle, combines quart-size convenience with half-gallon economy. Cream cottage cheese is one of the company's many food products derived from milk. It is made at Twin Pines plant on East Outer Drive, another of the nation's most modern dairy plants. The great public demand for Twin Pines' delicious, healthful cream cottage cheese is answered by large-scale production in 4 huge stainless steel tanks that reach from wall to wall of the cheese room. The preparation of cottage cheese is very largely an automatic operation. In immaculately clean surroundings and under close supervision, the tank is filled with fresh milk and the finest cultures prepared in Twin Pines' own laboratories. Then giant agitators blend the mixture to a creamy, smooth consistency. The agitators are of stainless steel, in line with the company's insistence on finest sanitary conditions. Cheese is cooked under carefully controlled heat. During the cooking process, skilled workers guide their cutting tools down the length of the tanks, breaking the cheese into fine curds. The whey is then drained off, leaving the fine, high-protein food which is cottage cheese. To make sure that all excess whey is drained off, the cheese is gently moved with stainless steel shovels to the sides of the vat, leaving the whey to drain off through the slanted bottom. This process is then twice repeated through 2 washings of the cheese curds with cool, fresh water. Through these repeated washings, the flavor of the cheese is greatly improved. From start to finish, the making of cottage cheese is a highly skilled process. The result of their fine skill, the finished cheese is placed in stainless steel drums, lifted to the top of the blending machine by an elevating mechanism, and dropped into a hopper. Then the same mechanism lifts stainless steel cans filled with pure cream to be blended with the cheese in the hopper. Rotating blades blend the cheese and the cream into the delicious dairy food we know so well as Twin Pines creamed cottage cheese. The filling machine is another of Twin Pines' automatic wonders. As the nested cups move down, a conveyor carries them toward the filling spout. The machine fills each sanitary carton with exactly the right amount of cottage cheese. Capping is automatic too, all the flavor and nutrition sealed tightly inside. A cap completely covers the rim of the cup, another example of Twin Pines' extra care. From the time the first mixing took place, through each carefully supervised step, the highest standards of cleanliness have been followed. Extreme care during production is just the beginning of a very thorough sanitation program. After each 12 hours of operation, the Twin Pines cleanup crew comes on duty. For a full 8 hours, they take apart, wash, scrub, and sterilize every piece of equipment and every foot of stainless steel pipe which has come in contact with milk and milk products during that day. Actually, this amounts to complete dismantling, then scrubbing, sterilizing, rinsing, and rebuilding again every day of the year, all to maintain the very strictest standards of health and purity. Each product receives the same care in processing and handling. Milk in bottles and cartons, buttermilk, chocolate milk, ready-to-use whipped cream, sour cream, coffee cream, and half. Favorites like cream cottage cheese, fine curd cottage cheese, ice cream in a variety of flavors, butter, orange drink, and frozen fruit juices, all are quality produced. Early morning sees spick and span retail delivery trucks lined up around the plant, ready to take freshly processed dairy products to waiting customers in every part of the city. Large transport trucks will take their cases of milk and other dairy products to Twin Pines' 12 distribution centers located in outlying sections of metropolitan Detroit. From those centers, individual trucks will deliver orders to homes in suburban neighborhoods. In all, nearly 600 trucks serve Detroit every day. The people on the processing and bottling lines, working with their automatic equipment and modern methods, do their vital jobs of producing quality dairy products. Now the route salesmen take over to provide their customers with truly conscientious home delivery service. As the plaque in the lobby states, the employee owners who own and operate Twin Pines Farm Dairy work together for the benefit of all. Because of his courtesy, friendliness, and efficiency, the route salesman is a welcome visitor at every home, bringing healthful, youth-prolonging milk in a host of tempting dairy foods. The foods he delivers are essential to the well-being of all ages. A glass of milk, a dish of ice cream, a pat of butter. Dairy foods that help youngsters to grow and thrive, that give adults added years of youth and vigor. Dairy foods for a happier, healthier Detroit from Twin Pines Farm Dairy.